So hello, everyone, and welcome to today's HFTP Annual Convention Hangout with the members of the Education Council. I am Barbara Semerero, the Chapter Relations Manager, alongside Brittany Brewster. She is the Membership Director, and we're hosting today's Hangout. The HFTP Annual Convention is scheduled for September 14th through the 16th. Next month, it's going to be at the Austin Hilton here in Austin, Texas. The Annual Convention Advisory Council plans those 3 days of education, along with the keynotes sessions, also the general session speakers. This year's program offers 36 sessions, quite a bit, and that totals over 18 credit hours for those who participate in every single session, but some of them are concurrent. And like I said, it's going to be here in Austin, Texas. In addition, the convention is where we celebrate and recognize accomplishments of the association and also of our members that have happened over the past year. Now, Daniel Conti, CFO at the Jupiter Island Holdings, is our session moderator for today, and he is joined by the chairs of the Annual Convention Education Council, Robert Mandelbaum, Director of Research Information Services at CBRE, and Kelly Brennan, Vice President of Employee Benefits at CBIZ. So at this point, I'd like to go ahead and turn over the Hangout to Daniel to start the conversation.
Well, thank you, Barbara. So welcome, everybody. It's nice to be able to participate in something like this. We were talking before we started, this is probably my 15th or so annual convention educational committee I've been involved in. And we're happy to have both of those that took the lead in it, Robert and Kelly, with us. We're going to kind of go through a little bit about the annual convention. There was a number of people who signed up that had never been to one before, or this might be their first one. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, as well as kind of the highlights of the convention, what we have to look forward to in a little bit over a month. I am happy after COVID and last year's kind of combined event with annual convention being held in conjunction with High Tech, that we're back to what I'm calling the normal annual convention. For those of us that have been to it prior to COVID, we're probably at what I would say 90% of what we used to do. As Barbara talked about, we definitely are back to the full educational complement with 36 sessions, as well as the club forum the day before. So that's really encouraging. And then we're also back to some of the fun things that we are used to. Our annual business lunch, which we conduct the official business of the association, the business meeting and the things associated with that we have to do, as well as our Tribute for Success, which will now be on Thursday night, as opposed to how traditionally it was on Friday, where we'll welcome and install our incoming president, Mr. Neil Foster. We'll thank our outgoing president, Mr. Pate, who I believe is on today with us after his 2-year stint, one of our 2-year president, which we're not used to, as well as some other awards and recognition that will happen. So of course, we know that one of the acronyms for HFTP is here for the party. So we made sure to put the parties back in. But obviously with annual convention, there's a lot of education that will also be going on. So to get kind of our kicked off today for our discussions, we wanted to ask Kelly a little bit about some of the general sessions. There's 2 in particular that she's going to discuss, our 2 keynotes, our opening session, as well as our day 2 general session, which really deals with a lot of different things that we all can be interested in, no matter what segment we're on. So Kelly, what are you looking forward to when it comes to these keynotes?
You know, it's been a great time, Daniel, being on the committee and being able to go through these keynote speakers and choosing them and, you know, listening to their videos and their promotions and, you know, what they have to offer. And I think as a committee, we've picked out 2 great keynote speakers. The first one is Kenyon Sallow. He's going to kick off Wednesday afternoon, the opening keynote. And he is going to speak on the bucket list of life, 3 simple steps to get the most out of life. He's very energetic. He will get the crowd going. And then we also, there's a great, our second keynote is on Thursday morning, and that'll be kicked off at 8 a.m. by Joel Zeff. He is going to speak on making the right choice, taking ownership and responsibility for your happiness and success. And Joel is just a very funny and presentable guy, and just look forward to attending both those general sessions. I think we picked 2 great keynote speakers.
Yeah, so we're always, those are kind of the highlights for a lot of us, trying to see what comes up. We've had some pretty good ones that have carried through the entire time that have given us discussions. There's another general session keynote on Friday that really has me of interest, because we haven't really done something like this before, which deals with really where we are in the economy and how it could affect us, which is very fitting coming out of COVID. So Robert, how did that session really come about?
Well, clearly, I think if you asked most attendees, and when we went around and discussed it with a panel, first and foremost of most people's mind is, what's the state of the economy? Where are we going? What's happening? So what we did was take advantage of some of the wonderful resources in Austin. We reached out to the University of Texas, and we're going to be joined by Professor Michael Sadler in the economics department, who's going to share his take on where the economy is going, with an emphasis on those factors that influence the hospitality. We're going to look at things like employment, wage rates, inflation, obviously a hot topic these days, business investment and household incomes. And what I learned this morning is that this is going to be a couple of days before the next Fed meeting. So I'm sure it'll be something that he'll address, and maybe he can provide his forecast of what the Fed might do a couple of days later with interest rates and such. So really looking forward to that, because again, I think what's going to happen with the economy is going to drive a lot of other forecast sessions that we have. The other session and resource that's going to be available for all attendees are the tabletop exhibits. There are 30 very generous and wonderful sponsors for the annual convention. And what they're going to do is be able to show their goods and services to us during the Wednesday night reception and during lunch on Thursday. So we hope that everyone attends those sessions, communicates with our vendors, and takes a good look at what they're offering us in the industry.
Yeah, those are always encouraging for us to have. And I encourage everyone who's here. Our vendors really support us greatly as an association. So if you are at annual convention, walk around the room, talk to them. I say it's very different than a high tech in terms of there being less vendors, but you get a lot more one-on-one time when you really need to with them, because it's a smaller conference and they have the ability to do that. So we greatly appreciate them supporting us, and I encourage everyone to support them in return by at least talking to them and seeing what they have to offer. Now, we know the primary purpose, obviously, of annual convention is education, and to provide that for all of our members. We know that when we set it up, we have some general sessions that no matter what segment you're coming from, whether it be hotel or club, that you can attend and kind of go back and forth. I also encourage everyone, even if you are a club person and you see something that's in a so-called hotel track that interests you, go and sit in there. You might learn something or pull something, and vice versa. Those in the hotel world, if you see a club session that seems of interest, don't think that it will not apply to you. Having worked in both sides of both segments of the association, I can tell you there is a lot of crossover. But specifically when it comes to, we'll start with the clubs. What are some of the things that the council did, Kelly, specifically in terms of topics that the clubs were looking for that are going to be addressed next month?
Well, with annual convention going back to the more traditional scheduling, there's more sessions this year and more topics could be covered. And we're starting off Tuesday and, encouraging and inviting all the club people to attend. Tuesday from 2 to 4 will be focused on hiring and retaining talent. This will be a good start to the conference, and I encourage you all to attend. And on the club side, we've picked out a lot more topics that are affecting the industry. We'll have someone talking on internal controls. We'll do a financial presentation, technology in the club world, insurance topics affecting property and casualty. We'll have a great ethics session, and a legal update. So a lot coming your way. And our moderator today, Daniel Conti, will be hosting a open roundtable on Friday. I've always enjoyed attending this part of the session. It's a great way for club people to sit around a round table, ask questions, share ideas with other club people. And it's just a great open forum.
Perfect. So I guess the other side of the track is the hotel side. And I guess with COVID, really the hotel industry suffered a lot worse than the club side of the industry did. Though it was making a little bit of a rebound or recovery in 2021. So Robert, what sessions and what can attendees look forward to when it comes to discussing the future of the hotel lodging side?
Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, it's been a wild ride for hotels, 2020, 2021. So what we wanted to do was kick off, first morning sessions with forecast, forward-looking, what's ahead for the industry. So our first speaker from the hotel track is going to be Hannah Smith with STR, and she's going to provide that always informative future outlook for supply, demand, occupancy, ADR, and RevPAR. In addition to the latest statistics, what she's going to do, which I find interesting, is present different scenarios. Depending upon where the economy is going, here's 3-4 different scenarios for a recovery for the lodging industry and what STR is seeing for 2023 and beyond. Then following that immediately, once we have a grasp from Hannah and STR of that, market statistics, we're going to have Tanya Venegas from HotStats join us and sort of translate those top line statistics to the rest of the P&L statement. What is that outlook for occupancy and ADR? How does that translate to revenues, expenses, and profits? And then she's also going to show, how can we effectively benchmark ourselves to take advantage of these statistics? And again, what's the outlook, not just for top line revenues, but for bottom line profits as well. And then the next day, on Thursday afternoon, Professor Paul Willie's put together a panel aptly named 2023 Hospitality Industry Outlook, Opportunities and Threats. And what he's done is put together a panel of, I believe, 4 or 5 independent experts, consultants, some operators, and they're going to address a wide variety of topics. We have a specialist who's going to address just extended stay hotels. We're going to have a consultant talk about values. We're going to have someone talk about international tourism. So it's going to be really a deep dive into next year. I know everyone's doing their budget for the year, so this will be a very informative session Wednesday afternoon.
Perfect. So we can see that there's a lot of different focus sessions that we have going on. Kelly, you mentioned quite a broad spectrum of topics that are specifically designed for the club world, but which one are you most interested in seeing and hearing?
There's several good topics. I'm interested in hearing from Keith Mercier. He was one of our speakers last year on the property and casualty side of insurance and updates. And, with the economy and the rise of everything, property and casualty insurance is, on the top of everyone's mind as far as the cost and savings and, mitigating risks. So I'm interested in hearing him on Thursday.
He had a very good session last year. I was glad that we were able to get him back. So Robert, really, when we think about the hospitality business, hotels are really intense, clubs are intense business operations, but they both are also kind of a form of real estate investment and deal with real estate as well. So what are some of the sessions that we'll be addressing that might appeal from an owner's perspective?
Yep. Well, first of all, Daniel, let me correct myself. That last session I talked about the 2023 opportunities. It's actually Thursday afternoon, not Wednesday afternoon. I apologize for that. But yes, hotels, we think about them as intense operations, but they are a form of real estate. So on Thursday morning, 4 of my colleagues from CBRE are going to address us in a session entitled Recent Trends in Hotel Transactions, Valuations, and Financing. I'm sure those who are finance executives are going to be very interested in such topics as, what types of hotels are being bought and sold? What are the values of those hotels? What's happening for pricing? If you're going in for refinancing for renovations or you're financing for a new build, what financing is available and at what cost? So we've got appraisers, we got mortgage brokers, we've got hotel brokers, wide diverse panel going to address a wide variety for people interested more in that sort of ownership perspective. And speaking of perspectives, we have a very popular session that we're carrying forward from last year called Perspectives from the Hotel Owner and Operator Point of View. And as everyone knows, most hotels, or several hotels, they're owned by an entity, but frequently a third-party management company is hired. And what we do is we've gone and taken some local talent. So joining us is going to be John Stainer, who's president and CEO of Summit Hotel Properties, located right there in Austin. They own over 100 hotels across the United States. He's going to represent that owner's point of view. Representing the manager or operator's point of view is going to be Evan Studer, from the CEO of Vista Host Hotels out of Houston, large national management company. And, you know, these days, while most of the time owner and operator perspective tend to be aligned, but we know frequently, you know, they look out, they've got different interests, different points of view. There are a lot of topics: labor shortages, cash flows, renovations, dealing with the brands. So it'll be very interesting. It was a great session last year. We think it's going to be another great session this year. Again, perspectives from the owner and operator's point of view.
So another part of the convention, and obviously there is a T in HFTP, is the technology sessions that we have. And we know that while this is not nearly as intense as high tech is when it comes to some of the technology talk, we do have numerous sessions that are addressing technology. So Kelly, what are some of the club technology sessions that we can look forward to?
We have several technology sessions on cybersecurity, which is an area that the clubs sometimes lag behind. And I think it's important for club members to attend these sessions. We also have a presentation from our very own HFTP board member, Jonathan Goodman. I'm excited to hear his presentation. He'll be talking on tech of the future in clubs. I've seen part of Jonathan's presentation, and it's very futuristic and forward thinking. And of course, we wouldn't have club technology without Bill Booth. He's been a long time presenter for HFTP, and he'll be talking about how to improve member services.
So I guess the same question to you, Robert. What technology classes do we have on the hotel side?
Thank you. Well, joining us on the call today is Ron Stecker, and he's going to be presenting to us Wednesday afternoon a session entitled System Integration, Optimizing Your Financial Reporting Environment. You know, as I become more involved with HFTP and I'm on the Global Finance Committee, I'm always amazed at how many reports controllers are required to run. So, you know, optimizing that integration amongst all the different systems that come within a hotel. I'm not a techie, so I'm interested in listening to Ron about how all those systems can work together. And then a fun session Friday morning. What we're doing is we're gathering some tech people from some of the venues in Austin, Kalahari Resort, the Q2 Stadium, the Moody Center, and we're going to see how, you know, for public assembly facilities like that, how they're using technology to influence the guest experience. So I'm sure that's going to be a very enlightening and fun, you know, both from the perspective of a technology person and as a person that attends events at venues. So it'll be good to get a sort of a behind the scenes look at technology at public assembly venues.
I'm actually really excited for that session. It should be really, really interesting to see what they all talk about. Now, we know that we have a lot of different levels that come to annual convention, but from the club world, a lot of the club individuals are really running multiple areas, whether it be HR or compliance issues, purchasing, finance. Those are who seem to show up. So Kelly, from the club standpoint, as a club executive, what other sessions are important to us that we have been able to really line up on the schedule?
We have a great club legislative update by Brad Steele. Again, Brad's been a contributor of HFTP for a long time. He does a great job giving us updates. And then we also have a session from Phil Newman of RSM, and he's addressing a session on how to address the club board. This includes presenting financials to the board, capital projects, asset management, and internal controls. All these help club financial executives to be better equipped to handle topics in the club world.
So certainly some interesting topics there. And then Robert, I guess the same question for you. What other hotel-based topics do we have set up?
Yeah, I remember we specifically discussed that, while we're presenting things about industry trends for hotels. We also wanted to provide some solid accounting for the finance executives that'll be in attendance. So Wednesday morning, Ralph Miller is going to provide an update on the status of the 12th edition of the Uniform System of Accounts for the lodging industry. Because of COVID, it's been dragged on a little bit, but Ralph can provide a update of where the committee is at and the timing for the release of the 12th edition. Also on Wednesday, I thought this is a very great title. Arlene Ramirez from University of Houston is going to present key accounting concepts. I remember you, and it sort of harkens back to, as she infers, all those wonderful accounting concepts that we learned in college, but oops, we may have, it's been a while since I cracked open that book. So I think it's going to be a good session, just sort of, let's go back to basics. What did we learn? What might have we forgotten? What's becoming important these days and maybe we should have paid more attention to when we were in school. And then on Thursday, I thought this is another great title, Anxiety-Free Accounting, by our committee member, Katie Paolini from Hotel Solutions. She was a great speaker last year for those of you who attended her session. And she's going to provide some guidance on how we can build better habits to make a better workday for ourselves. So one of those more personal training sessions, which I think we can all benefit from.
So some very interesting topics there that I think we'll all benefit from. The USALI update with the latest press releases will be very interesting to see where we're at that point in about a month with the rewrite and where that committee has gotten to with a number of the changes that have taken place with that. So that should be an exciting one. So really, you can see I myself attended 20 odd annual conventions probably at this point in my career. The speaker list has gotten better and better every year. We've definitely, as opposed to having a bunch of us little peons that don't know as much get up there and teach classes, we're bringing in a lot of very high quality talent with some diverse backgrounds and quite extensive knowledge to do a lot of the sessions, which we didn't used to always get at annual conventions. So I encourage everyone to really recognize, if you haven't signed up or know some that have not, it's a great opportunity to get a lot of education from some very, very knowledgeable people all in one spot, and also get some great networking and seeing your peers and getting back together. I know we all are kind of have over COVID at this point, and want to all get back together and see each other and get back to normal. This year is the 70th anniversary of annual convention. So despite what some say, I have not been to all 70, but I've been to quite a few. So we're definitely encouraged about that. So you kind of heard an overview of a lot of the different sessions, but are there any particular questions that anyone on the Hangout has, or any questions they have about the event as a whole? And that we can try to answer for you or direct you in the right way. And you can type them in or you can unmute.
This is just a suggestion or something to take a look at. The convention or high-tech ending time is normally 3:30, 4 o'clock or 4:30. But the hotel checkout time is 12 o'clock. So there are a lot of people who travel from outside, from different cities. So they have either an option of just paying for another day or remove everything from hotel and sit in a convention center. That's something that I would like you guys to consider, because I mean, I've been going, like Daniel, I've been going to conventions since probably 2001 or so, but this has always been on my mind. So I'm glad for this session. So I would like you guys to take a look at this one.
So that's probably, I mean, it's a great suggestion. It's probably a little bit more of a high-tech issue because of the number of hotels and then going to the convention center and needing to drag your stuff over there. But from the annual convention standpoint, because we get to have the sessions are all in the hotel where we're hopefully all staying. If we're staying within the room block, maybe we can work with the hotel to see what we can do to help us all out with that. Because like you, I think I'm flying out Friday afternoon, right after I do my session, actually. So yeah, check out and you're dragging your luggage down and trying to leave it with the bellman and do all that. So
yeah, I think this convention is finishing at 3:30 or 4 o'clock. I've tried every time, but
yeah.
the majority of the time I ended up paying for another day. Some people travel from city they drive from, you know. So for example, I'm flying to Houston and then I'm driving to Austin because I am from Houston, but I'm working in San Francisco. So I'm making it personal and business. So for me to complete the sessions, all the session, because my wife will be probably joining me, I'm not gonna put her in the convention center since 12 o'clock and wait for me for 4 hours. So that's just a suggestion for you guys to consider. And the other suggestion or a topic that I've been thinking about is, you know, where there are a lot of talk about the hotel owners and, you know, things like that. But there's never a session or a course, for example, how to convert employee into owners, you know, conversion of employee to owners. We always talk about, you know, the hotel operators, but we don't talk about the people who are working in the hotels who wants to be, you know, a hotel operator. They could be from different departments, you know. So they might, HFT may want to consider a course where, you know, they can have a training or whatever, you know, that what things some employee should know before they think about buying a hotel or a property, because there's not enough information. Maybe many of us are scared or never think about these things to do, you know. That's another suggestion. The third suggestion, I'm sorry, I'm taking a lot of time, but the third suggestion that I have, there are a lot of clubs and hotels. And I know Daniel worked for a hotel. I did too for Intercontinental. And we moved from one to another, you know, and so we know the both side of it. But because these clubs are all worldwide, or they're worldwide clubs and hotels, my suggestion is that there should be a recruiting or HR presence in the conventions where companies tell, you know, present that these are the opportunity internationally. I would love to work internationally, you know, but putting a resume through the Indeed or something is not going anywhere. So that's just another suggestion that you guys may want to think about, you know. I think I said enough. So.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Daniel, Jason Kelly here.
How you doing, Jason?
Good, good. Well, you know, in the US, you guys might be past COVID, but as you might know, I'm in Hong Kong, right? So we're nowhere near past COVID, right? So I couldn't make it to high tech this year. And, you know, I'm not, you know, I've still got return quarantine here if I were to try and even make it to this. So it's not even really an option for me. So I guess my question is, you know, is anything going to be available online, right? Any of those educational sessions, right? Is there, you know, I'd be happy to pay something to get access to something, right? But anyway, questions over to you.
That's a great question, and I think we will defer to staff on that one
Yeah.
because I'm not sure what we're doing this year. As Barb tries to find.
Yeah, I know. I tried to find the unmute button like everybody else. So, yes, Jason, that's a great question. And what I'm going, I don't have the answer for it right now. So I will find out for you and let you know as to whether or not anything is going to be recorded and if there are plans, which sessions those would be. So.
Perfect, thanks. I mean, I think the big thing comes for me is even if I'm looking at next year, right? I'd really only be able to pick kind of high tech or the annual convention. It'd kind of be like one or the other, right? But you have an opportunity probably to get some money from me for both if there was way for me to get some of the material online, right? So, so I think it's just something when you're looking at the international aspect, if you're trying to get us more engaged, you know, I'm really keen too. So I don't speak for everybody, but yeah, these online opportunities I think would always be great, and I think there's a lot of people who'd pay something to get to be a part of it. Right?
That's a great suggestion.
It is, and I'll take it back.
And I agree too, because I think there's a lot of people, depending on the timing, that can't necessarily make it, but would love to be able to stream it from their desk or even go on afterwards and look at some recorded educational sessions.
Well, and on top of that, we are a partially technology-driven association, so.
Yes, it's always great in
That's
high
right.
tech when the tech doesn't work and you go, wait, we're at high tech and maybe there should be a few people that know what's going on here. So, Fitzroy.
Yeah, just I don't recall if you had mentioned anything, Daniel, regarding CP credits in terms of how we're gonna get those credits this year. Did you?
Go ahead, Barbara.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay, this is what I know as of right now, but of course, it may change over the next month. But inside each room, there will be a sign that says what the code is to receive your credit for that particular session. And then we will have the HFTP annual convention app this year too. And inside the app, there will be a link to the form right where you submit all the sessions that you have been to for credit. So yeah,
Okay.
so for in each room, there will be a sign. It's probably at the back of the room, or maybe it's going to be right before. The placement of it is where I'm kind of unsure about. That will say what the session code is.
You know, the reason thank you very much for that, Barbara. The reason I'm actually asking as well is because I realized that this year, if you miss the announcement of the code during high tech, you can't go back and get it. You know, like for those of us who would have liked to get credits for the high tech sessions, you can no longer go back and get those credits if you missed the code. So I mean, I don't know if there's another way around it. So.
Yeah, and yes, we heard that from high tech. That's one of the reasons why we're making the signs, but also Brittany and I will be at the membership table because HFTP will have 2 tables in the exhibit hall, one of them for the HFTP Academy, and then the other one for HFTP in general. I could work with Robin to have a sheet available so that if you do miss, you know, snapping a picture of the code or writing it down, you know, we will also have a copy of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and then afterwards, after the annual meeting, if as you're trying to submit everything, yeah, reach out to myself or either Robin Bogdan, and she will be at this year's annual convention too. So go over to the the HFTP Academy table, and she too can give you out a sheet and let you know the session codes.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, and there's a total, if you do every session related to annual convention, it's 18.4 credits. So it's a lot of credits out there.
Credit.
Ron, did you have a further question? I'm sorry, I jumped on you.
No, I'm good.
No, you're good. Okay. Seren, you had your hand up. I don't want to miss you if you had something.
I just want to echo what Jason said. As you know, there's a lot of Canadian. I'm from Canada, and there's a lot of people who want to attend it, but most of them, they got to get their company to pay for it, and they don't get a choice, to go for both. Like me, sometimes I got to pick, whether am I going to the high tech, am I going to the annual convention, So if we could have virtual session, that would be great. And that would help, whoever, if you have to pay for extra for the virtual session, so be it. But this is something that we need to, it would be nice if we look into that.
Sounds like a good thing for us to look into. Continue to use the T in our HFTP. Well, and the president's on today, so maybe he can push through some of that. Mr. Pate. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Anything else we can answer? Well, if not, we thank everyone for being on, and we'll send it back to Barb if she's got any closing things that we need to know about.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for presenting this great overview of the annual convention, how the sessions were pulled together, and also the networking opportunities and the exhibits. Yes, feel free to stop by to say hi to Brittany and myself. We'll be at the membership table, and Robin and Ron, I know, will be at the HFTP Academy table. And of course, we're going to welcome you all to sunny and warm Austin, which is right where HFTP is headquartered at. So with that being said, don't forget there will be an app, so you can always put your schedule together that way. And we will be having another brief orientation Wednesday morning during the annual convention too. So I look forward to seeing y'all. Safe travels. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and close out the Hangout.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.